we're live now. I'm going to give it over to Ajit sir. Ajit sir, you are now handling the stage. I'm going to be in the backstage with you guys. Meenal, your video is not there, so you can check
Yeah,
it.
I'm trying Abhimanya. Maybe I'll join back.
Okay, sure. All right, Ajit sir, over to you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This is such a delight to be part of Encrypted Asia. I have known the people behind this for more than a year when they were called, InBlocks, and very, very delighted to be here. Since we are targeting only about 30 minutes, and we have Minal, Sachin, and Naimesh, who I would like to see doing all the talking, I'll just begin by setting the context for the first 3 minutes or so, and then just start pulling people in. Just as a little bit of rule, actually, I'll give you the rules once Minal is in. So, very simply, the world has gone crazy. It has gone crazy because of the virus. But in the crypto space, or I should say in the business space, it has gone crazy because of new token issuances by DeFi projects. The topic of this today's session is how can DeFi projects attract investors. Actually, we can all go home in the next 20 seconds because I will answer that. If you are a DeFi project and you want to attract investors, tell them that you are issuing tokens. Matter over, finished, everybody subscribe. But the real world does not usually or always work that way. So there will be times when the bull run will be over, there won't be so much FOMO. There will be times when DeFi projects are trying to attract investors, not just for their tokens, but maybe even for their equity, maybe even to come in as LPs, liquidity providers, etc. So I have these three absolute rock stars. Every one of you, Sachin, Minal, and Naimesh, when you come online for the first time, please spend the first 30 seconds introducing yourself, which I am about to do for myself in a moment, because you will introduce yourself from the heart in a better way than anybody else.
Ajit, just 1 second. I just want to also introduce Manuel. He is with us also. We did a previous session on, we did a panel discussion on future of open finance. Manuel is the director of innovations at C Currency. So we all four are going to, join you now.
Manuel, let's rock this, man. So every one of you, just two guidelines, because frankly you are so accomplished, I'm not going to make any rules. First is the first time you come online, spend 30 seconds in introducing yourself, which I will do for myself in a moment. And second thing is, just because you bring up a question does not mean I want four answers, because the answers tend to be similar. So anyone just pick up the answer, and the second person should speak only if they disagree with the first one, not that they want to add on to the first one. This will allow us to take many questions because the total session is only about half an hour. Quick introduction for me. My name is Ajit Khurana, former CEO of ZPay, which was a crypto exchange in India, former head of Blockchain and Cryptocurrency Committee, which is an industry body. Have been an angel investor since 1998. I'm 51 years old, work with startups, help them grow. So that was my 30 seconds. With this, we move on to today's session. First and foremost, we look at the current state of DeFi projects, because I personally believe it is an extremely bullish, wild phase for the entrepreneurs, which will not necessarily remain. So if any one of the speakers would like to come on board and explain to us from not just the DeFi project point of view, but from the point of view that the audience knows what DeFi is, but how is it affecting and attracting investors, and what is a realistic and unrealistic scenario? I open this up to anybody who would like to come in first.
Yeah.
Yes, shall I start?
Yes.
Yeah, hi guys. I am Sachin, and I'm the founding partner of Ameston Capital. Okay, and we invest into early stage DeFi and NFT projects based out of India. And personally, I'm very passionate about DeFi, especially NFTs. I'm still trying to figure out, but yeah, I don't want to miss out on the trend. And yeah, I'm investing into NFTs also at this point of time. So like Ajit sir said, that regarding DeFi and everything. So I just want to keep it very short. So I have a mentor basically, and he manages a hedge fund in stock market. Okay, and he manages like 5,000 crore INR, from Dubai. And like 6 months back, I went to Dubai when borders were like open, and the cases were not that much high and everything. And I had a meeting with him for like 3-4 hours, and I was trying to explain him regarding what is DeFi, and taking example of one of my invested project called Not Finance. And he was like, okay, cool. And he studied something about Ethereum, he studied something about Bitcoin and everything. And cut to short, last 2 weeks back, I was again in Dubai, for some personal work, and this guy is actually making a DeFi protocol by himself. So I never saw this guy. I never thought actually this guy would get involved in so much. He's actually reading about Ethereum and various protocols and going deep into white papers, understanding how the protocol works, what is open finance and everything. So I asked him what is the thing. So one thing he was very much attracted to was basically the openness or the unregulated part of it. Because with some disadvantages, there are many of these pros also. That what open finance can do. At the same time, the yield what they are getting for stable coins. Like stable coins, you're getting 24% to 25%. In some cases, you are getting even 30-35%, which is not possible in banks. Not only in India, but if you go to Western world, it's like 1-2%, right? So this is what is attracting to them, and he's actually exploring bringing on-ramp fiat also. So what I feel, though there are like 3 to 4 projects every day coming out of around the DeFi space, doing the same thing, but I think we do need a lot of people coming with innovative ideas, and eventually when there will be no FOMO or the bear market starts, you will see a lot of consolidation and a lot of shutdown, but the good players like we got Compound and Aave in the last cycle, we will surely get a lot of DeFi projects in this cycle also, which will set up the tone of open finance and which will actually bring mainstream or people out of cryptocurrencies, to become a part of it. So I'm personally very much bullish about DeFi.
Naimesh,
Yeah.
I'm just going to get everybody in, but in addition to the question that Sachin just addressed, if you could just throw in, because of being from media, you could throw in the investor and how are you viewing them, how are they thinking? That will take the discussion forward. Of course, please introduce yourself first.
Right. Hi everyone. This is Naimesh. I run something called as CoinCrunch India. It's a YouTube channel. It's a website. We basically are a news platform for cryptocurrencies and blockchain. I'm an investor myself in cryptocurrency, but I try to not tell people where they should put their money. At the same time, so Ajit has put me on spot saying that what is the perspective of investors, and honestly all the people I interact with, and we did discuss this in the previous session as well, is I do feel that the DeFi space or the crypto space is still it still has barriers for a lot of people to enter. Only the smart and the rich are able to maximize the yield from DeFi, and that needs to sort of change, right? Or I don't know what will happen when it changes, whether the yields will remain the same or reduce, but I do feel like the space is getting closed. We call it an open finance, but it is sort of limiting to those who are smart enough to understand where they should put their money. But that's my counter, as in I don't believe that it's completely open, and we need to sort of work towards that, right?
This is great for me to bring Manuel in. Manuel, in addition to introducing yourself, Naimesh is saying that open finance is open in architecture, but societally and economically seems pretty closed, as in it's a closed open finance. How do we deal with this?
Yes, hi everybody. That's a good question. As you said, I'll give a brief introduction. Some of you might have seen me in the previous session, so apologies, but I'm a strategy director for innovation at Currency. We are a US and UAE based blockchain financial infrastructure company. We focus on self-executing financial engineering products, interoperability between chains, but also between chains and legacy systems, as well as compliance, and in particular on and off-chain compliance oracles. So yes, indeed. So DeFi, it is of course very limited in the people that it reaches. It's for geeks and it's for whales. And I think the way to change that is really to make onboarding easier, of course. And how do you onboard people? It is unfortunately through intermediaries. I don't think DeFi will replace all the banks. I think the financial institutions, but also the fintech apps, the big tech companies. They will build their architecture out into DeFi, and create better products and be able to execute those products, for instance, through flash loans, make very quick loan decisions, much faster than before. And the average person in the street will benefit from DeFi that way. So still through using an intermediary or somebody, an institution that exists in the real world. And that's really, I guess, the big picture is we have to bring the real world into DeFi and DeFi into the real world, and that's by creating this hybrid, I guess, institutional DeFi, but also bringing real world assets on chain and diversifying the risk of stable coins, for instance. Now we talk about DeFi, but how decentralized is it really? When such an important money Lego, the assets, the stable coins are pretty centralized. If you look at USDT or BUSD, that's very centralized. But even things like DAI, now that they take, for instance, USDC as collateral, is pretty centralized, and that's fine. I don't think we have to be purist about it. And in many ways, also in the Internet of Information, you see that more centralized operators like a Netflix outcompete BitTorrent, for instance. Yeah, you still have people using BitTorrent, but everybody else is on Netflix, right? And I think this same kind of hybrid finance will come out of what we have currently, the traditional system and DeFi.
Hey, this is great. Thanks for kind of bridging, and making Naimish not looking like he was a rebel. Minal, I'm bringing you in. So Minal is from a crypto exchange. Minal, as somebody being in an exchange, you've seen a lot of DeFi projects approach you for everything, right from listing to otherwise participating in some of their business plans. Where are you seeing this head, especially now? I would like to talk from the trading volumes of the token, the investment point of view. Where is it going? Has it become real for you guys already?
Hey, thanks, Ajit. Absolutely. I think we are seeing a lot of interest, particularly around DeFi. But before I sort of talk more about that, would sort of start with a quick introduction here. I've been personally active in the crypto and the blockchain space for more than 3 years now. I currently head growth at CoinDCX, where we basically try to make cryptocurrency trading, buying, selling, and the entire access to cryptocurrency is simple. The last, if we talk about trading volumes as a metric for an exchange, in the last, especially in the 2020, the entire 20 year, and this 21, first quarter of 21, we have seen huge trading volumes getting diverted towards DeFi tokens, wherein definitely, I think we can talk more about the fundamentals of those tokens, but I think there has been a lot of interest just from a purely a trading value point of view, trading volume point of view. And in addition to that, we have started seeing a lot of interest coming in from users to basically help them make the access to the DeFi space simple, right? As other panelists also highlighted, DeFi is a huge hype. But it is something sort of a black box to a lot of people, right? Now, how as an exchange we can potentially look at making that accessible is something that we have started working on. And I think the initial pieces which we would want to sort of develop at, very basic passive income opportunities, which people generally earn through yield farming, right? And maybe start getting into decentralized loans, right? Sort of start using the fundamental use cases, the foundations of the entire decentralized finance, which various projects are working on.
This is great. Minal, thanks for your answer. In fact, just to alert all the viewers today, you might wonder why is Minal the only speaker who refuses to come on video. That is because Wherever he goes, online and offline, people chase him and say, please list one more DeFi token on your exchange. So he does not want to be easily recognizable. So he has put a small picture of his. For all we know, the picture could be of George Costanza from Seinfeld because it's so small I can't make out. Having said that, coming to Sachin, Meenal said something very interesting, and there was also a question in the conversation. I don't know if you saw it, that these ridiculous yields, which
Yes,
you also
yes,
talked about, are coming probably because of governance token. The maker is insisting.
yes,
The
yes.
maker token is insisting, hence the DAI token is giving more yield, etc. But are we going to see some sort of convergence between the non-crypto world yields and the crypto world yields?
Yeah, yeah. So two things I want to highlight. The first thing is actually what Tejas asked. Tejas, like, good to see you, Tejas. He's always there in all the events with the most smart questions, you know. So yeah. So what I can see over here right now, these are like unrealistic yields. There is no doubt about it, right? But how I see it is, if it is giving me better than the bank what it's giving, I'm happy. To be very honest and short, this is what my answer is. Because every bull market, there's the same story, right? There is nothing like it's permanent or something. But how I see it is basically, there is a lot of maturity which should be coming in, as the DeFi stage or the DeFi phase like basically grows, and I see personally I'm working with a lot of these DeFi protocols, and we are always working on something new. So right now something interesting I'm working on is called Robo Advisory, which is like a lot of people have explored in the centralized finance, but decentralized finance they have not, because the data is very less, but we are trying to make something out of it, and maybe we will give a small version of it or a very beta version of it in next 2 to 3 months. But how I see it, you keep the yield apart, because now if you see compound is giving so much yield, even though their token is so high, but the yield everyone, or the token what they get, for every user get, because for they are participating, but it's very less in amount, because so much of participants have increased, but the reward program has been same, almost same, so where I used to get X amount of compound tokens for participating in the protocol, now I am getting little less, maybe 0.1x or 0.2x, but that yield has not dropped a lot, but at the same time there are a lot of people trying to make out ways where even the yield stays stable in bear market. Maybe you can manage it with like a option put option or something on a decentralized derivative protocol, where the tokens are falling, so the put option value will go up, and the yield will balance off. So like I'm telling you, there are a lot of things where we can surely make things more interesting, and that is one thing. And second thing was, Nemish was telling that closed open finance, so it's very simple, man. Like everywhere, whenever there's something new, the rich and the privileged get or the smartest one gets the first access. Like if I want to speak about 15 years back, my dad has no same access to trading stocks. But nowadays, if you are 18-year-old and if you have an Aadhaar card, it will take less than 20 minutes to open an account on Zerodha, less than 5 minutes to trade a stock, depositing money. So give it time, everyone will get a chance, But yeah, that's what all about.
Sachin, thanks for labeling everybody on this call, not just the speaker, but also the listeners, as being the smart people. I'm glad that we are all
We
scratching
are
each
all
other's
smart
backs.
people.
Congratulations, everybody, for being smart. I have a question though. Minal talked about yields. Everybody has done that. Sachin, you talked about robo advisory, which is extremely common, almost commonplace in the traditional stock market world, etc. Is DeFi about doing what has happened in the traditional finance world, but doing it in a decentralized way? Is that so? Loans have happened, crowdfunding of loans have happened, synthetics have happened, so many things have happened. Is DeFi really all about doing what has happened traditionally, but doing it in a decentralized way? Is that all there is to it? Anybody?
So I would like to give a short answer. So DeFi will make a bigger casino than Wall Street.
But you are saying it will still be a casino. There was a casino earlier, there's a casino now, we are just doing it on chain.
Yeah.
Right.
Anybody else want to throw something in
I
this?
just want to add that the reason for it probably is that first we try to improve what exists, and then we try to innovate something that doesn't, right? I think that's how I look at it. So there are things that have worked in the past. We're trying to make it work now in a completely different manner and see if it sticks, right? And when it doesn't stick, probably we'll try something new, right? Maybe a new protocol, or maybe the same thing as a new thing, right? We don't know that.
Absolutely. In fact, I would go back, because a lot of people may not be old enough for this, but to the late 80s, when the IBM PC, as we used to call it, we used to call microcomputers IBM PC, regardless of whether they were from IBM or not. One of the most commonplace use of that was in maintaining books of account, as in financial accounting, because people were tired of these tons of books. And it really seemed like all computers were doing were automating pre-existing functions, like Naimish said. But that is where it led to the beginning of innovation. And today, computers do so many things which couldn't have been imagined before that. Fantastic. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend the rest of the session putting an additional constraint on all speakers, that we will try to be very narrowly defined by the topic, which is investors, right? However, I'm happy to define investors in three ways: investors who buy tokens of DeFi projects, investors who invest in companies that are associated with DeFi, so equity investment, and investors who invest into the projects by locking their value or putting tokens, liquidity, etc. So, other than the FOMO that current token issuances are banking on to basically sell all projects, fundamentally, if you were a token issuer, and let's say the bull market were not as wildly raging as it is now, what would you tell your investors? Invest in a DeFi project because. Anybody?
I think Manuel should go, because he's running C currency. So you have to talk to investors. I don't have investors.
Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, happy to take this one. Of course, we don't have a token. We don't even have a blockchain. But I think what you can tell investors is that I think why, as an issuer, you would use DeFi. Let's put it that way. Is because you can bootstrap liquidity. You can get instant liquidity on. You can start a pool. You can, if you want, you can incentivize that pool with additional tokens, and it's a great way without having to go and shop around your project to 10 different centralized exchanges, and then hoping that they will let you in. And maybe you will have to pay high fees to get your token listed, etc. So I think it's a great launch pad for projects, and that's of course where we mentioned earlier that DeFi is just a casino. I think of course you can use it as a casino, but the beauty is that it's the real utility is, I guess from the VC perspective, it's a great platform for smart investors to buy young tokens before they get popular and listed on centralized exchanges, and of course the earlier you invest, the higher the return, and else you can use it as a yield generator. You can just park it passively into a vault, and see the returns coming in a fairly transparent way, without having to play that casino, for which most people don't have time to day trade like that.
Excellent. So I'm going to now try to flip this coin exactly in the opposite direction. Now, think of yourself as the investor, not the token guy, not the project guy. What are the risks about investing in DeFi projects that worry you? I'm going to throw one out, that the project may never see light of the day and may never fructify. So that I think is a genuine risk, but we'll put that away. Other than that, as a DeFi investor, what are the risks you should be thinking about? Anybody?
I think I think that I can take this one, because I try to invest very less, being very scared of things, and the scare is truly, it's not about whether the project sees the light of the day or not, but it's about being a very risky investment, right? Risky in the sense that it's more hype than it should be. It's new, it's innovative, and for someone who is trying to sort of not really gamble with their money, that is what will stop me, right? Like, should I take the risk of getting into something innovative, which is a high risk and high yield, probably high yield generating investment, but at this point, is it worth my taking that risk? And to be honest, like, I feel like when I talk to some other people as well, they go into Doge, then they go into DeFi tokens, because for some reason, and this, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I did have people tell me, oh, Doge has been around since like few years, right? DeFi is very new. I don't want to take the risk right now. So
So Doge is far more credible. But you know what? Sachin talks about casino. You talk about gamble. I am starting to see a pattern here. So let me ask you, Naimesh, very simple question. You focus on the risk element. Obviously, risk is inherent to all investments. But if I were to look at risk to ratio, for example, stocks are certain risk, bonds are certain risk, fixed deposit, and then there is DeFi tokens. Do you think that the risk to return ratio is still sensible, or do you think that the risk is grossly overweighted?
see, the risk to return ratio has also one more factor to it, right? Which is speed. Like, so how fast can you invest in a protocol to increase the chances of you earning a lot more return on your investment? So that risk, according to me, is very high. Like, if you're not in at the right time, you're bound to not get value of your investment. So when I say that risk is very less, it is when you are able to get into it at the right time. That is why, circle back to the initial conversation, that not everybody has the opportunity to understand what is the right time to get in. And as an investor, I would not know what is the right time until I've really experienced it. And DeFi has been around for a year or so. So a new investor would not know that unless they have people like Sachin or, Meenal or yourself, helping them or mentoring them or understand the ecosystem. So that's how I see it, like from a layperson perspective.
So I'm
And
going to throw in a hypothesis. I'm going to tell you
yeah,
how the world works. Meenal, sorry, you have something to say.
now just
Okay, so
sort of
I'll
looking
continue.
at adding
So
something what Meme said.
go ahead.
So essentially, I mean, the macro view which you mentioned, right, as how do you compare the risk reward ratio when it comes to investing in other asset classes, or any investment for that matter. Definitely, the risk reward for a specific investment, cryptocurrency or DeFi project, can be very high. But if you take a macro view of crypto, I mean, the thesis you can have, or a mindset that you can have, is 90% of these projects are going to fail, right? Because we are essentially in a very early stage of the entire DeFi revolution. There will be a lot of experiments which have a risk to fail, right? And that's how you evaluate, right? You maybe diversify more, you build a framework, you look at the basic, in the fundamentals of a DeFi protocol or any DeFi application, and try to see if they are actually adding value to real use cases. Be it around how much assets are logged in that, if it is a lending protocol, how many unique Ethereum addresses are interacting with it, and so on and so forth, right? So I think, yes, if you look at a particular investment which goes well, the risk reward ratio is super high, is super good for you. But your investments are bound to fail, right? 90% of them can potentially go to zero, right? Hence the risk element also becomes very huge here.
Correct. So whenever we say, are these investments safe, etc., we are not referring to any specific investment opportunity.
Right.
But if you were to invest same amount of money in all of them or at an index level,
Right.
I'm going to end today's session by actually bringing up a case and actually ask your opinion. Is it that today, now we are not looking forward, we are looking at what it is today. What happens is that a DeFi project comes, and starts issuing tokens. Tokens have become so valuable that everybody has, a stampede, and probably a lot of earlier token issuers themselves come and invest, which means a very close user group gets this. Then there is some sort of listing, typically on Uniswap like protocol. The token goes to like 10, 50, 100, some very large multiple. And the people who are then hodling at the new price, not the people who are like, coming in and going out in minutes or days. I'm saying hodling at the new price are usually the newcomers to the crypto space in general. And there is such a huge rush of these new people that the prices are still maintained at some level, maybe not at 100x, but maybe at 12x or some very good multiple. And if this stream of newcomers into the crypto space who find Bitcoin too expensive and hence are exploring some altcoins, if this stream slows down, then maybe the entire market scenario will change. Just by the way, you may have heard a dog bark in the background. That is my golden retriever called Bitcoin, who Naimesh, when he had visited me, has also met. But that case that I said is the entire market of DeFi token pricing being held up only by newcomers who are looking for good altcoins. And what does that mean for the future?
So can I go? What my experience is, that we should not, label this newcomers only to cryptocurrencies. This is like everywhere, everywhere. Even in stock market, people look for small caps, to multiply their money as soon as possible. So the basic understanding is that, people, if they are like really want to make a long term, like they don't want to become rich, but they want to create wealth. Now there's a good difference between this. Rich is basically you can come today and put money in SafeMoon or Dogecoin and Elon tweet about it and you are rich. But if you want to make wealth, you have to be like Ajit Khurana sir, who is holding Bitcoin from so many years. So that's the difference, right? So before someone puts some money anywhere, there is a basic understanding or a need that you should be doing a lot of what should I tell? Research about it, and not FOMO into things. Now, this is like basically every time whenever I get a chance to speak with any person, I tell the same thing. But eventually, after it's like that, that Sachin told me to buy Ethereum 2 years back. It is like only 5x, but I bought Dogecoin because Elon was tweeting about it, and I make 20x. So I'm smarter than Sachin, and that's how it works. This is what it is. So there is nothing you can do about it. This is how the market works. And people will understand only after getting experience. I see a lot of people who were there in the last cycle who learned a lot, and now on basis of that learning, they are taking steps and executing very nicely in the same this market. Taking profits on regular time, sticking to good coins, and not FOMOing into altcoins, researching all products. I tell them if you are investing into early stage also, if they have like whatever the product is there you ask for a testnet link or something, test the product by yourself. Speak to the founders, because the founders in crypto space are very accessible. You can find them in Telegram, and they will reply. So understand a bit, take some time, because the market is not going to go where. If you are like invested into good projects, even if you are buying at top, there is a good chance that after 4 years you will make a lot of money. Even if you would have bought like 20k Bitcoin, today you would have been like 60k, so it's 3x. So 3x you could not make in 4 years in stock market or any other instrument. So there's a lot of opportunity over here. And I will suggest that everyone to take calculated risk. But all this talk is going to be worthless, because eventually people will buy Dogecoin and see to it that they are making money very fast.
So, Sachin, since we are sitting far away, in fact, we are in different parts of the same city, but there's no way you can punch me through the screen. I'm going to take a little liberty. And Sachin defined the smart investor, the one who does research, the one who associates with a certain coin, blah, blah, blah. All those things that he said in the last 60 seconds actually were autobiographical. He was describing what he does, and I appreciate him and admire him for that. You will be surprised, everybody, that we have been in this call for 33 minutes already. Can you believe that? 33 minutes already. It seems more like 5 minutes. So thank you, everybody. Very nice to be here. I'm going to now invite Abhimanyu. And I must, while you come in, Abhimanyu, I'll tell you that I'm a big fan of yours, because I've seen what you are doing. And while you're setting up a business, as everybody else is on this call, how a lot of what you do is so positive for the entire ecosystem. Thanks for that. Please come and take this over. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, everyone else, to kind of take out time from the busy schedule and get everything together. Knowledge sharing, as Sachin said, that so Sachin is giving an example of actually me. All right.
This freshen up the memory of last lockdown when you were trying to learn trading with me on Zoom calls. I remember.
So the best part was that everything that he didn't say, I did, and the reason that I'm below 2 bitcoins is because of this guy sitting on. He said leverage, don't take leverage, and I said I'm gonna take leverage. The only reason why I never take leverage and I'm only dealing in spot markets now since a year is because of Sachin. And
where is my commission, bro?
Commission of losing those. So amazing. It's pretty cool. So Thank you so much again. Any conversation and anything that we keep on doing is supporting and building information and knowledge base and network, open network for everyone, so that people can get together. This started eventually when everyone started supporting me back in May 2018, when everything was down and under. We started off with these, and it's 3 years later. Solid community, solid network. Never wanted to like misuse it or something. I should not, and luckily I survived. All these years. Thank you so much, Sachin, Ajit sir, Manuel, Nemish, and Meenal. We look forward to developing a great platform and great ecosystem for others who come in new, so that they can come in with the right sense of mind and the right set of people who don't guide them to go and buy NCAP, ATC, BitConnect, and I'm not gonna mention Doge here at the moment because they all made us laugh. All right, so there should be something which should make us laugh, and there should be some positivity and joy there. Also, everyone that supported Encrypted throughout, we this is the 12th hour since yesterday that I've been sitting here and trying to host the whole thing. Obviously, there's the team has done a fantastic job in arranging everyone together and coordinating with everyone. As I was really busy with our other projects which are going live, very soon. So I was super grateful for the whole team Encrypted to making this possible, and to managing and inviting and hosting all the splendid guests that came in. Has been a joyride from yesterday. It's so much new information and new learning that has gone through my mind as well. We're going to make it available on in the video format, and we'll share with every one of you as well, so that you can spread it to your community. Although we'll do the same, and all the information that we kind of bring in, collate together, seems less only because no one, as Sachin said, follows it. So the only reason that we keep on doing this, that in at least in real time, people can throw in some real intelligence onto the other person, or someone else's dumb activity or stupendous behavior can be experienced and be learned from, so that we don't kind of commit the same mistakes again. And I think we're gonna last year 30th May and 30th April and 1st May, we were having Chain Busters Global happening. I think Sachin and Ajit were part of those two. And I think we should bring that. I've been getting so many requests that we should have this going on for like more in frequency than the we are. People are saying that you are coming in late. There are more projects coming in DeFi than your shows, right? Which is correct.
Yep.
It should be the other way around. So we're gonna plan with the team on how do we make it happen. We made a complete studio setup and everything, so that we can do this on a wider scale for the whole Indian community and abroad. We love to create content, and that's why I think all the folks, including exchanges, come to us for creating content. We love doing this. Even if we want to make business real businesses, we still make time, effort to make certain social commitments happen, and this form of small evangelism can create great network effects in the end, I would say. Thank you so much, everyone. We still would like you guys to follow our content on Encrypted Events social pages. They will be sent to you over on email and stuff, and our whole team is working to get you all connected together. So if you have missed out on connecting with someone, then please do reach out to our team, and we'll help you connect with the person that you probably just met or interacted with. And all in all, we are also the initiative started by Sandeep, Nailwal from Polygon for the Crypto Relief Fund. India is in a bit of a rut again in the second wave, and it's more worse than the previous one. And anything that we do seems less at this point in time. So there is a Crypto Relief Fund as well, and whosoever is watching can go and volunteer and participate, not just by money but with kind and support and intention, to go in there and and help the Crypto Relief Fund by visiting www.cryptorelief.in, or by using Crypto Relief, hashtag Crypto Relief, and hashtag Crypto for Good, to just showcase on the good things that are happening with crypto and because of crypto. There's always this gambling, casino, and all that sentiment that we also, in a fun way, discussed in this topic. But there is good change that has happened through crypto. If you use hashtag Crypto for Good, I think we're started by the community around the same Crypto Relief sentiment, and we're gonna take that forward. Our team's gonna make sure that this goes forward. And Crypto for Good, hashtag Crypto for Good, should be used in tweets whenever we want to showcase that this is a good thing that happened to because of crypto. So people should also not just look at Silk Road and other, CTF. As soon as people hear crypto, everyone starts looking at me like a money launderer, that I'm now about to ship this money to China. I'm not going to do that. We're all safe with whatever we're doing. Please continue to hodl and please continue to biddle. And we should all be here sooner than we all think, back talking to each other and spreading light and joy in the cryptoverse. So thank you so much on behalf of the whole Encrypted Asia team, and thank you for everyone who attended and all the speakers that came through, including some of the great names. We also had a prediction from Tone Ways again today. Still, I think it's $250,000 or something. So. So yeah, I think we should all pray that everything works out well in terms of COVID times, and even if US is printing more money or other unions are printing more money, then it should come into crypto. There should not be any other good place to kind of yield their fiat, which has been quantitatively eased 2 times to us. So we should quantitatively compound it 2 times in crypto. So as much we have lost in the past 45 years post Nixon, we should gain it back again. I don't think there's anything wrong doing that. But thank you so much, guys. Always there for support, and if you want to have a laugh, you can contact me at Bitkaship. I'm available on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. I think all the social channels, although I don't check it much, but I'm still available. So you guys can drop me a message and I can probably get back to you. Thank you so much, guys. Have a pleasure.
Thank you.
Have a pleasant day ahead. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for your time, guys, and stay safe.
Thank you all. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye.